Welcome to another episode of Spaventoso Speculates. This is episode 11. White commander cards you should be buying. Trying out a new format this time. We'll see how it goes. First card, Abeyance. It's instant from Weatherlight until end of turn. Target player cannot play instants, interrupts, sorceries, or abilities requiring an activation cost. Draw a card. A couple years ago, this card spiked almost $40. Now it's back down to under 10. If you can find it at about $8-9, it's probably a good deal. It's not used in too many commander decks, but I think it should be. Here are some of the list of the commanders that use it, like Heliod Suncrowned, Giada, Font of Hope, like mono white decks that really want some interaction to be able to have an explosive turn or outright win the game. Maybe cast this first and then go ahead with your combo. Next card, Aura Blast. Destroy target enchantment. Draw a card. I'd specifically be targeting the foil version of this, the original one. And if you can get it for about $2, I think you'd be doing good. It's not used in too many decks, but it's just a general good card to have, especially against a Rhystic Study. It could remove the Rhystic Study and draw you a card. Some of the commander decks that it's used in. Not used in too many decks, but I think it's a good pickup for $2 for the foil if you can find it. Next card, Ceasefire. Target player can't play creature spells this turn. Draw a card. I'd be targeting the foil version on this as well for about $1.30. If you can get it under $1, I think you'd be doing pretty good. It isn't used in too many decks in Commander, 0.02% of decks to be precise, but to be able to stop somebody from casting a bunch of creatures, especially if you think they're going to have a really big turn, and then to replace itself, I think that's a pretty good ability. Here are the decks that it's used in, especially maybe the mono white decks. Another Yada deck. I think you should be considering this Avacyn deck, maybe even Mavinda, things like that. Mono white, I think this is where you're going to want to slot this into. Next card, Curtain of Light. Target attacking unblocked creature becomes blocked. Draw a card. And again, looking for the foil one for under $1. I think that'd be the one to target. 0.03% of decks use this. And I think it'd be, especially if you have a lot of commanders that you play against that maybe make one really big creature or have a lot of large creatures, this might be something you want to slot in, especially in a budget deck. Another kind of mono white sort of thing. You might want to consider some of these commanders, putting it in there. On to the next card, Do Respect. Permanents enter the battlefield tapped this turn. Draw a card. Now, this could really kind of mess up somebody's turn, especially if they are trying to combo off with maybe a creature-based combo or something that maybe replicates a lot of things. You could cast this and really mess up their turn. It's used in 0.04% of decks. Another foil I'd be kind of looking for. Elish Norn likes to use this. It's certainly on brand for that type of deck. But anything mono white or maybe mostly white with a little bit of a splash color, I think could use this. Next card's an old one from Ice Age, Formation. 1 and a white. Target creature gains banding until end of turn. Draw a card at the beginning of next turn's upkeep. This card spiked a couple years ago. Maybe $3-4, and now it's back under $1. I think it'd be a good card to pick up for that price, especially if you have other banding cards in your deck. But even if you don't, here's a little primer on what banding does. Any creatures with banding and up to one without can attack in a band. Bands are blocked as a group. If any creatures with banding a player controls are blocking or being blocked by a creature, that player divides that creature's combat damage, not its controller, among any of the creatures it's being blocked by or is blocking. So, yep, a little confusing, but as long as you kind of understand the cards that are in your deck and, read up a little bit about the rules, I don't think it's too much more confusing than any of the other, random abilities in the game. Here are some of the commanders that use this card. And I think it could really catch somebody off guard, or at the worst, it might save your guy for a turn, and then you get another card on the next upkeep. Next card is 4 Nox, 2 and a white. This one's a little bit more new. It has Vanishing 4, and at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, draw a card. So if this sticks around, you will get 4 cards. Initially it was a couple bucks. It's now under $1. I'd especially be looking at the foil one of this again. If you can pick up a foil copy for $1, or even a handful of copies for 25 cents a piece, just to have lying around, I think it might be good for your collection, especially to upgrade some pre-cons, or if you're building a new deck, just to toss it in there and see if it works. Some of the commanders that use it, especially the Doctor Who commanders, definitely want to use this card. And it's in a set. I don't know when it'll be reprinted. It might be worth picking up, especially if you can snag some foil copies. Next card, Gallantry. 1 and a white. Target blocking creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. Draw a card. This is going to be quite a surprise for most of your opponents if they've never seen it before. They might think that they're going to get in with a quick little swing and deal some damage, and then all of a sudden your 1/1's going to turn into a 5/5, plus you'll get to draw a card off of that. And this does not have a foil version, so if you can find some for 20 cents, 25 cents, I think it might be a good pickup. These are some of the commanders that use it, especially if you're not playing green. I think it's a good little pump spell to catch somebody off guard. Next up, Glimmer Lens, 1 and a white for an artifact equipment for Mirrodin. Whenever equipped creature and at least one other creature attacks, draw a card. It's a pretty consistent draw card, even if you're just swinging with 2 1/1s that are going to get blocked. You're still going to get a card. It's going to, over the game, going to draw you a lot of cards if you use it. And it's, about $2. Maybe if you can find a foil version for under $1.50, $2, you might be doing good. And I put this one on the list especially because people are already slotting it into the Cloud X Soldier deck for the Final Fantasy set that's coming out. And so I think this one, if you don't have any in your collection, might go up if a lot of people are planning on putting it in their Cloud deck. Next card, Inheritance, 1 white for an enchantment. Pay 3, draw a card. Use this ability only when a creature is put into the graveyard from play, and only once for each creature put into the graveyard. This will draw you a bunch of cards in white pretty consistently. It doesn't have to be your creature. So you can hold up some mana. If someone's creatures die, you can draw a card. And for 1 white, you can just plop it down on turn 1. And even if you don't use it for a couple of turns while you build up your mana base, it's a pretty good deal in the long run, I feel like. It's only used in 0.02% of decks. Some of the commanders that use it. White can sometimes have a difficult time drawing cards pretty consistently. So I think this, you might want to test it out and consider it if you are running a white commander. The next card on our list is Mentor of the Meek. 2 and a white, human soldier. Whenever another creature you control with power 2 or less enters, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. This is actually a pretty popular card. It's used in almost 6% of decks. And $2 for a foil. That looked pretty nice. I think it's been reprinted quite a bit. That's why the price has gone down. Now might be a good time to pick it up while the price is bottomed out. A lot of decks that use it, especially Frodo. But I think kind of any deck that has a lot of little guys, a kind of a go wide sort of strategy, might want to consider picking up some of these. If there's any new commanders that come out that synergize well, this card might go back up in price. Next up, Mesa Enchantress. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you may draw a card. Used in almost 4.5%, almost 5% of decks. White has a lot of enchantments, especially if you are sure to include a good handful of enchantments. This card will draw you a lot of cards over the course of a game pretty consistently. You don't have to pay any extra mana. There's no other stipulation. And even if you're getting low on cards in your deck for some reason, maybe you're playing against a mill player, you don't have to draw the card. So that's pretty nice. Some of the commanders that use it, and most of these look like they might have to do with enchantment kind of decks. So I think you should pick this up if there's another hot enchantment commander that comes out. This card could go up, especially, I mean, the foil price is already pretty disconnected from the non-foil. Next is Niveus Wisps, an instant. 1 white, target creature becomes white until end of turn. Tap that creature, draw a card. Now that target creature becomes white until end of turn is not so important, but tap that creature is. If there is a combo that requires a creature to tap, you can stall that player's turn out and maybe buy you another turn around the table, and it'll replace itself. The foil is $6.50. It is kind of an older card. 2008 was the original printing, so that's about reasonable for a card of this power level. But if you don't have any in your collection, I think $1.50 for a regular version is a pretty fair price. And it is used in a handful of commander decks. Here's the list. On to the next card. We have Pure Steel Paladin. 2 white, creature human knight. Whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Metalcraft equipment you control have equip 0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. It's a 2/2. This card was pretty expensive and has been over $10 for quite a while. And a bunch of reprints have tanked the price, so now would be the time to pick these ones up. I wouldn't be going for that foil one. I'd try to pick up non-foil for under $2. Maybe grab a handful of these if a commander that involves equipment comes around. This one might spike again, so get it while it's low. These are the commanders that are using it. I use it in my Bruenor deck myself, but I mean, it's good in anything. If you have, a handful of equipment that you regularly use, I think this one might be an include in those types of decks. Next card, Pursuit of Knowledge, 3 and a white enchantment. Skip drawing a card. Put a study counter on Pursuit of Knowledge, remove 3 study counters from Pursuit of Knowledge, sacrifice a Pursuit of Knowledge, draw 7 cards. So it's basically 4 mana to draw 7. Especially if you used any of the other cards in this video, you might be drawing a lot of cards. And then you'll be able to recoup that over the course of a turn or 2 or 3 at the most. It did spike to $2 a while back. It's since under $1. And since it is an older card, I think it might be worth picking up for $1. And these are the commanders that use it. Atraxa, Praetor's Voice, Mr. Foxgloves. I think, mono white, especially if you just want to try some card draw or you're doing something super budget, I think that might be a good card to buy. Reprieve, 1 and a white, instant. Return target spell to its owner's hand, draw a card. Used in over 4% of decks. Originally over $4, it's now under $1. The foil is $1.70. If you can get it for under $1.50, I think you'd be doing good for yourself. Don't know when this one's going to get reprinted since it was in the Lord of the Rings set. It's a good way to kind of throw someone off. Maybe they invested a lot of mana into a big spell, or they're trying to combo off, or they counter your spell and you want to return your spell to your hand. I think it might be a good card to pick up and have a couple of copies in your collection. Here's some of the commanders that utilize it. And I think it might be more of a EDH, CD, EDH sort of thing, but still good to have in your collection, even if you don't play those type of power level decks. Woodland Alkalite. This one is kind of new. It's an adventure card for 1 green. It's an instant adventure. Put target permanent card from your graveyard on top of your library, and then the creature side of it, when Woodland Alkalite enters, draw a card. It's a 2/2, so you can get that card right back for a total of 4 mana. I'd be going for the foil one here. It's just a quarter right now, around the average price of the card. Maybe you can get 4 for $1 on eBay or at your local card store. I can see this foil over time kind of going up and disconnecting a little bit more from its non-foil version. Green-white is going to want to use this especially. And I like it in the blue decks here too, so you can kind of get back some of your high-powered blue spells, maybe get back some of your counter spells or some of your draw spells. And I think it's worth grabbing some if you don't have any, especially the foil version. A couple more left here. Shelter. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Draw a card. I'd be aiming for the foil of this as well. It's used in over 1% of commander decks. And it looks like the foil is starting to go up a little bit more than the non-foil version. And there are a couple of different printings of this card. Here are some of the commanders that use it. Great card to kind of keep up that 2 mana, and then maybe if they try to remove your commander or a creature that you want to keep around, you can kind of save it for a turn. And then last card here. 2 arms, 1 and a white. On-tap all creatures you control, draw a card. A couple of different printings of this deck. It's used in under 0.50% of commander decks. The foil version is going to around $4, but I'd pick up a couple of non-foil versions for around 50 cents. This might be good if you tap out to attack someone and then they think that they're free to attack you, and you can untap all your creatures and block. Plus it'll replace itself. And here's some of the decks that it's used in. And that's all the cards I have for today. Appreciate you watching. Let me know in the comments if you use any of these cards in your decks, and take a look at the playlist for similar videos.